Erin from Erin Doan State Farm Insurance. Let's talk this morning about this crazy weather that we have, and insurance as well. We had that warm up that's coming in today, in particular, into the 40s. Some areas will see actually around 50 degrees, and from what we saw yesterday, a lot of that snow has melted, but we're going to experience rain. It's going to freeze. There could be some accidents. And with up and down weather like this, it probably is no fun from an insurance standpoint, because you know that there's going to be some results of that weather out and the changing weather out there.
Yeah, it's coming, Chris. I think the thing that we always talk about on when we're together in some of these shows is to, prepare. And so this is one of those. If you're listening and you're going to head away for the holiday weekend, and have Christmas early this weekend, just realize you really need to pack the trunk with blankets, and make sure you have flashlights and perhaps sand and or some kind of melting a shovel, all these things that you're going to need and have them in the vehicle with you.
How many people do you think actually do make that safety plan, that safety kit? I know we talk about it a lot, but do you have an idea when you talk to some of your customers that come in and you encourage them to, but maybe the next winter it's like, hey, there's nothing in your vehicle. What's going on here?
Yeah, I think it's one of those that it's more common human nature, and a few will do it, and you're increasing and improving the odds. I mean, that's part of like the infomercials and the safety and trying to be a good neighbor is just encouraging a few to do it. And
Hmm.
I would say the further you go and the direction you go, and really the more seriousness, if you're listening to this, is the time that you need to leave or plan to leave, and what to expect. And so if nothing else, maybe you don't pack the vehicle, but you really work on when you are going to leave and change your plans. So it sounds like, Chris, that it might make more sense if you're going away for the holiday weekend is to today take tomorrow off and this evening is leave. So
Yeah.
no matter, unless you're heading quite a ways south, in Michigan, in the state, lower peninsula, upper peninsula, the roads are going to be just literally treacherous, into the night tonight, later, overnight and into the morning. So, even if they don't pack the trunk, hey, let's really listen. Please listen to what we're saying.
Mhm.
Time your trip, look at the weather, look at the hourly forecast for the temperature, and that way we can be safe and you won't have to use your insurance.
Yeah. Well, and we're talking, if you're just joining us, with Erin Doan from Erin Doan State Farm Insurance this morning, talking about, heading out for the holidays. A lot of people do travel, obviously, prior to Christmas, and then after Christmas, there's different family get-togethers. And so this stretch of the next 2 weeks going to be important to adhere to some of these recommendations. So you were starting earlier to talk pack like a pro, or try to at least. I don't know if you probably have never seen our me packing any sort of vehicle, but things fall out when you open the doors. So I am not a pro at all, but it is important to be able to do that, and making that packing list. Using packing cubes, you say, is important as well.
Yeah, I think it just helps organize and maximize that space. And I've seen some of the commercials about the new things you can put on top of your roof, and and add to your hitch in the back and make it easier to get around. And you might be running out of time to invest in some of those things that'll help you travel a little bit more conveniently. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely times where you packed it up to the ceiling and things could come flying, into the front where everybody's seated.
Yep.
So you definitely want to be, organized, be as safe as you can. The lighter things on top, nothing heavy as you're packing on top, and really kind of lay it out. Most engineering types, Chris, they're
Mhm.
going to really evaluate, get the weight distribution down low, and then cube it, square it off, make sure every inch is used. There's a lot of other of us that are like, yeah, let's just get it in the car and let's go.
Absolutely. Putting the level on it and everything else out there.
Exactly.
There is statistically this year, there's more people driving than flying, which is interesting. And obviously, we've heard a lot about the travel incidents and the craziness at the airport and the busyness that happens, of course. But they say statistically, more people are driving here this year. For those that are flying, though, it's almost a good idea to weigh that luggage at home so you know before you get to the airport so that you don't slow things down for yourself and for others.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yes.
A little story. I We had friends over, and we were heading out on a trip the next day, and we were finishing up and getting our luggage, and they're like, "Oh, that's nice. That's kind of a bigger one. Are you sure that doesn't weigh too much?" And we looked at him like, "Oh, that's right. We need to weigh this." So when got our scale, that we would put our feet on,
Mm-hmm.
to weigh ourselves,
Yep.
and then picked up the luggage. And they were looking at us like, "What
What?
planet are you from?"
Yeah.
Like you do know that you can actually get luggage weighing things, and
Mm.
they're like $15.
Oh, yeah.
And
Hey.
so they laughed, and all of a sudden in the mail the following week, we got a handle with a weigh scale on it, and they mailed us a gift so that we
That's
could
good.
have our own luggage weighing thing.
Bear hug that luggage and then take the net. You'll be
That's
okay.
what I did. That's what I did, and they just were cracking up.
That's the way to do it. Travel budgeting should come in as well. We sometimes don't think about that, but the safety plan side of things. But setting a detailed travel budget probably is an important part of the holiday. Uh, uh, getting on the road, jumping on a flight, so on and so forth. Is that something that is important to you to share this morning?
Yeah, I think it's important in that, we as, families, young families, things are tight in budgeting with average, family household in our area. And I think if you can prepare a meal or two and, have space, right, to pack a lunch or a dinner, snacks, that's going to be less expensive, if you can buy it right than buying it on the road. And it's always fun to, if you're heading down south, to stop at Buc-ee's or something, because that is a
Mhm.
pretty fun place to stop. But at the same
Whoa,
time, yeah, you're definitely good. If you can plan it out, you're going to save some, because this is an expensive time of year, and you don't want to put it all on the credit cards if you can help it. And, take some meals like you would be eating them at home on the road. Highly, highly recommend that.
for sure. And I'm glad you brought up Bucky's. We were talking with one of our engineers, I think it was a couple weeks ago, and Bucky's came up, and he's in Pennsylvania, and
Hmm.
they travel to Bucky's. It's a destination
Oh, like
spot.
they go there. Yeah, we got to go have that brisket.
That's right. But no, it makes sense, and for them, obviously making some plans, adhering to some of our recommendations, obviously, is a good thing for everybody out
Well, and
there.
if you budget it right, like, hey,
Yeah.
we're budgeting in our plan going to
Mhm.
Bucky's and getting a brisket sandwich. Okay, you've done it. Good job. You've
There you
planned it.
go. Yeah,
So, yeah.
absolutely. We talked a little bit this morning, and if you're just joining us, we're talking with Erin Doan from Erin Doan State Farm Insurance, getting you prepared for your travel commute if you are headed out, or if you have friends or family headed your way, you might want to give them a call and say, "Hey, you know what? Heard this on the radio this morning." Or watched it on our Facebook or YouTube channel. And have you done this? Have you, if you're going to travel a little bit and we see that there's going to be some inclement weather, we're already talking about the winter weather advisory that kicks in later today. And if those individuals are coming your way, let's make sure that we get this information to them, including avoiding peak travel times. And, with the internet out there, you can literally Google or ask your smart device when the best time to travel, depending on which way you're traveling or how you're traveling, and that helps relieve a little of that pressure out there, doesn't it?
Absolutely, especially just those peak points if you're going around, let's say to the, west side of Chicago,
Hmm.
or you're heading down and you got to go around, through Detroit and heading into, that state that starts with an O. So, those are things that you're going to want to really look at and know, like, what is the timing of, when is everybody coming out of Detroit or coming from downstate and heading, down 75, down 131, down 31, heading into Indy or wherever they're heading, just to kind of
Mhm.
look at that. And I don't know, Chris, I think that's based on the traffic volume, but it's not based on the weather. So I
Mhm.
think we want to look in combination. If you're listening to us now, our encouragement to you would be, hey, look at the temperature drop and what time is the temperature drop going to happen. So we
Mhm.
mentioned this a little bit earlier in the show. We
Yeah.
definitely want to encourage people that are listening by radio, YouTube, or Facebook to make sure that they know that temperature drop. So what that might mean is, you were going to leave tomorrow afternoon or evening, and then that might be the coldest part of the day and perhaps the slickest part of the day, actually. So you might want to look at it a little closer and say, hey, do we need to, if we're heading south, do we need to get out of Dodge to go see the family and leave today? What that could cost is going to mess up your budget that we just talked about. But
Mhm.
you may need to get a hotel room. You're heading into, Kentucky, Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, somewhere south, and you're trying to get below that freezing mark or wherever that you're heading south. You might want to consider leaving tonight.
Absolutely. And you bring up a very valid point because as we look at the hour by hour, just after 1 a.m., we'll start seeing some of those freezing temps, below freezing temps out there. And so all that precipitation, that rain and snow mixture, for today. That's going to start freezing, starting midnight, 1 o'clock into the early morning hours, if not just before that. So, the morning commute definitely is going to be probably from what we're seeing and expected. Going to be a bit hectic tomorrow morning. So, and it's everybody else thinking sometimes the same thing. Like, okay, let's leave a little early, it's it's not fun, but hey, we want you to be safe and get to your destination. Let's focus for a moment on just kind of in that particular category of traveling, driving. You say ease up on the gas pedal a bit and brake wisely. Talk about that for a moment for us, if you don't mind.
Well, I think, the older people that would be listening didn't have ABS brakes in the first, if you're in your 50s, your first, 20, 25, 30 years, you didn't have ABS brakes. So
Mhm.
back in the day with an older vehicle, you had to pump the brakes. And now with ABS brakes, which most vehicles over the last 20 years would have, is you want to ease into the brake, and if your back end starts to slide, you want to be really careful in terms of, like, if you have front wheel drive, slowly hit the gas pedal and pull out of that. Actually, you want to actually move through that, so in case your back end is really moving, turn your wheel toward the skid. So what that means is, if your right side of your back of your vehicle is starting to go out and to the right, you want to turn toward that skid, and that will help you self-correct the vehicle as you're going down the road. So you're going to want to brake safely and possibly carefully hit the gas to pull yourself out of that skid. And don't overcorrect. I think what happens, Chris, for a lot of people is they really turn it hard really fast and they're overcorrecting. So if you're prepared, knowing mentally, it's like anything else in life, hey, this has the potential. This is going to be a little hairy.
Mhm.
Instead of going 55 or 50, down, the 2-lane road looks pretty clear. But like in the morning, tomorrow morning, hey, I need to be considering going 25, 30, 35. And so what that means is you might need to leave. If you got normally a 20-minute to a half-hour commute to get to work, you're going to want to probably double that. You're probably going to
Mhm.
want to give yourself at least an hour to be able to get down the road going about half the speed if it's drivable. Chris, we've had some times over the years where, I'm telling you what, it's not drivable. School's going to be canceled, and you're probably going to want. And it's funny because I'm going to have to talk to my staff about this today, but I
Mhm.
may say, let's get into the 10, depending on the timing and how cold it is and what the roads are looking like, maybe not coming in till 10, 11, noon tomorrow. I'll be in, I'm the closest to the office, and I'll
Mhm.
just carefully get in here really early and open the office up. And I think a lot of other owners and businesses that are able to do that, is give your, give your team, give your staff some time to, be able to, how they're going to brake and have the time to do that in the gas pedal, and talk to them about that today. Just talk it out.
Well, and with this warm up that's happening right now and that snow melting, we don't want in our minds to trigger, hey, it's almost springtime. We haven't even hit the first day of winter yet.
No.
So we've got a lot in store. So it's going to be important. We encourage people out there to obviously slow down. We talk about having their headlights on and being able to make sure that they get to where they're going safely, and everybody else as well. We were reporting on that accident yesterday on US 10 by between Culver's and Burger King there, and normally in the summer or fall and spring we can turn out onto 10 and not have to worry about any traction issues. Well, somebody had turned out onto US 10, and obviously there was an accident there yesterday. Sometimes we can't predict how fast we can get into that lane, and especially in the wintertime. And so we want to make sure we think about that too, right?
Absolutely. And I think the biggest thing is to really consider on US 10 or 31, living in Oceana, Manistee County, or, even 37 for our Baldwin folks is, just consider eh, not turning left. Depending on the time of
Yeah.
day, right,
Mhm.
is turn right, find a good place to turn, around in a parking lot. We're familiar, my office here on US 10, that we typically have a couple of people turn around in our parking lot every hour. So
Mm.
they've missed Dennis Road or Watson's or, Bish's RV, and they'll actually turn around and we wave, and, and sometimes that's not necessarily, they just miss the turn. But I'm saying if you're turning out into US 10, go to the light. If you're at Walmart or Meijer, please go to the light to turn left. It's so much more dangerous to go into one of those other drives and try to turn left out onto US 10.
Yep, absolutely. We just see so many accidents because of that. They not realizing how much time and distance we have when we are turning on 10 and seeing those other vehicles come in. It's some safety tips. Before we wrap up, one more thing. Uh, you had mentioned a moment ago about front wheel drive. From an insurance standpoint, do you have those conversations, or are you, for those that tend to look at vehicles with front wheel drive, do you tend to say maybe you should consider all wheel drive or rear wheel drive here in Michigan? Do you tend to give some cautionary advice from an insurance standpoint?
I think it's pretty known, Chris, to be honest. Like a lot of what we talked about is common sense, but still
Mhm,
you need to hear it, and it needs to become top of mind awareness, right?
mhm,
But I think a lot of people that live in Michigan, grew up in Michigan, or from Michigan, really kind of head nowadays toward a crossover vehicle that has all-wheel drive,
yeah,
vehicles that have four-wheel drive. And I think that's a part of it, but everybody that's listening, braking is a different animal on the ice.
mm,
If you're listening to this, guys, and you know who you are. You're cruising down the road, and you can go past people because you got a big truck, and you, and
mhm,
you and you feel comfortable going on the snow. Please, the ice is a different animal,
yeah,
and the braking is a different animal, whether you have all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. And I will say that tires matter. You know, we 100%, have found that, all-terrain tires can be too hard at times for Michigan, especially in the colder weather.
mm,
So what I mean by that is sometimes it makes sense to have snow tires and softer rubber to grip the road better. You have a better chance of moving the vehicle forward and a better chance of slowing down. Ice is ice, though. If there's anything from this session of the last 20 minutes that we've been talking to people about, is please realize that ice driving is a lot different, and we know it, than
mm,
snow. But maybe this helps one person slow down take the time, realize that, there's other people on the road. It's more than just about you, and to really be safe as we go into this freezing roads that we're going to go into over the next 24, 36 hours.
Yep, good advice there. Erin, we appreciate you. We wish you a happy holiday and a Merry Christmas, and hopefully we keep everybody safe as much as possible, and get them back home or send them on their way back home.
That's right.
After
Okay, we've had enough. Merry Christmas. Okay, here's the door.
that's right. No, it's all right.
That's all good. It's
Erin,
all good.
if somebody needs to get a hold of you for insurance or to adjust their insurance or just double check things, how can they do that?
Yeah, we are located conveniently on US 10 in Ludington, just a half a mile east, heading towards Scottville on US 10. We're on the north side of the road. You can find us easily at ludingtoninsurance.com or give us a call. We're open 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. We're here. We have 5 licensed people here to serve you, quote you, adjust your insurance, let you know what it would be like to be with State Farm and my agency. So you can
Mm.
call us at 231-757-3115.
All right, sounds good. Aaron, thanks so much. It's always good to connect with you and the advice there. And again, as our listeners and viewers probably have noticed, it's not always, insurance, insurance, insurance. It is practical advice that keeps people safe. And we find that when we talk about these particular topics, the natural idea of, okay, well, if I get in an accident, it's going to affect my insurance, but
Hmm.
if I can stay healthy and not get in an accident or avoid another party, a two-car accident or that, other than something like that, then naturally the topic of insurance kind of weaves itself in there. And I think it's important for our listeners and viewers to always kind of understand that, because you've brought up some very good points as we have conversed, and that is making sure that you have the right insurance in place, that you have that you sit down with the team there and go through that. So yeah, we appreciate the sound advice that you carry in these conversations each week.
Well, I appreciate it, Chris. Thank you so much, and wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas.
Thank you, thank you. It is.